welcome to Home Team Advantage. Got it right. And I'm Gary Giambetti, and
Well,
this
got
is
that
Mike
part right,
Egan.
too.
At least I got that right.
2 for 2.
And yep, 2 for 2. So we're gonna.
Your batting average is better than Sano's.
Well, I know I don't have the power that he has though. So and here at Buxton. I mean, they had a pretty good game yesterday.
Home run and a grand slam.
Yeah. So.
Too bad he struck out 3 times.
Well, he does. He has struck out between he and who was the other guy? Maybe it was Sanchez. Had struck out 18 times between the two of them. So that fits right into the Twins building a program.
You'll hear, it's only spring.
Well, I was listening. I was watching the game yesterday. Obviously, we don't have much to talk about high school wise.
Speak for yourself.
Well, high school wise, we don't have a whole lot to talk about because everything's finished.
Yep.
And
everything's starting up for spring. The baseball players are in the gym, and hard to.
Tracks are in the gym. Had a couple indoor meets. Well, fortunately, they got back to their indoor meets because the last couple years they didn't have those. So they were in Ashland and they were in Bemidji, and I believe they go somewhere Saturday, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, so at least they're getting some indoor meets in this year. So things are getting back to normal, pretty much.
Yep. So we got softball, girls softball, women's softball, whatever you want to call it now.
Well, no, it's not even girls. It's just softball because boys obviously aren't playing softball.
No.
So baseball, softball.
Well, we're going to be like Disney World now, where you can't say he, she, he.
Well, you don't really have to because there's basketball. You got girls basketball. You got boys basketball.
Can't say girls.
So
can't say
yeah,
women.
but you can't. You got to separate them at that point because it's the same sport.
Saying, if you go to Disney
It's the
World,
same sport. Well, I don't go to Disney World.
So when you go to the restroom, it's going to be, gee, which one do I go in? It doesn't say him or hers.
Hers doesn't say men and women anymore.
No.
Well, I don't know about that.
I think you'll be standing at the door going, eh?
Which one do I go in?
Yeah.
Then they have the family ones there too.
Yeah.
Can you actually go in those?
Can't call them family anymore either.
Oh, okay, all right. But so yeah, I mean that's all we really have to talk about today is professional sports, which we hardly ever talk about fully in our show.
Right, because it's so good here in Minnesota.
Well, everything's peachy keen, I guess, if you want to use a.
Well, the big news is, as you started in our pre-production meeting this morning, is the draft is coming up in the NFL. What do you think the Vikings are going to do?
Well, I wish I would study it. I don't have the time to study every player in the draft, but it sounds like they're going to go after probably a cornerback.
Yeah.
Cornerback,
defensive
CB,
back.
defensive back.
Although they signed Patterson yesterday.
Patrick Peterson's coming back. They've signed the Chandron. Is it Smith or something from Green Bay? Took him out of Green Bay.
Yep. But he was a nickelback anyway.
Nickelback, but he'll play according to a show I heard this morning. He'll play 65% of the snaps. So he's got that going for him. Maybe the Vikings have that going for them. Zadarius Smith, I believe, the defensive end they signed, or the outside linebacker they signed from Green Bay.
Yep.
And they redid the contract with Danielle Hunter
and Thielen
and maybe Harrison Smith. I'm not positive, possibly, but
I think a lot of that was just to open up some more cap money so they have to go out and sign guys. But unfortunately, the people that they need are signing with other teams.
Well, but the offense, other than the offensive line, they signed a couple offensive linemen too, and that's where they needed the biggest improvement on offense because they have the weapons. Whether you like Kirk Cousins or not, he's still had didn't he have almost like 5,000 yards last
close to it
year? So he can throw the ball around the field. He didn't throw many interceptions either, and threw like over 30 touchdowns.
He's a pocket passing quarterback. That's his forte. Just like the young kid from Cleveland, he's a pocket passing quarterback, and unfortunately, if you don't have the linemen to protect you, you're not going to do anything. So, and then the other big rumors are now that Baker Mayfield might be going to Tampa Bay, and Brady might be going to Miami.
Oh. I don't think. Well, Bruce Arians stepped down as coach down at Tampa Bay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know he's not coaching them no longer. So maybe that maybe the speculation is that Brady knew he was going to do that, and he didn't want to come back if he was coach, and then he probably found out he was stepping down, so he figured, okay, I'll come back again.
Well, they only brought you to the Super Bowl. Well, how much more do you want them to do for you?
I know, but that's, coaches and quarterbacks, those relationships can get kind of
Because it's the
not
NFL.
for long. Let me say it this time. But the Vikings, I always say I have a love-hate relationship with the Vikings. I love when they lose, and I hate when they win because it's easier to rip them when they lose.
Right.
But maybe this year, new system, new coaches, maybe they have an opportunity to get to the playoffs.
Well, the hype starts even on our show.
They start the season in first place.
Yeah, they're all 0-0 until September rolls around, and I mean they've done the work. Now you just supplement with the draft and find some guys that can start right away.
Well, as I said earlier, I think they're going to trade their draft pick and try to maybe go down, or maybe they'll try to go. I don't know. They got to do something on their offensive line. I think that's their big stumbling block right now. And until they can get somebody, and man, you're paying guys $60, $80 million for 4 years, 5 years. That's a lot of ticket sales.
More money than we could fathom. I'll tell you that. But yeah, no, there's a couple cornerbacks out there. I wish I could remember names, but there's a Derek Stingley, I believe, from LSU. And then there's some guy, his name is Sauce or something. I can't remember the exact name of it, but if that player falls to them at 12, then they have to take him. That's the word anyway.
Well, they're talking about a kid that a defensive lineman from Alabama, but on the other hand, they think the kid's all hype, that he's not. He's big. He's big. I mean, he's like 6'6" and 320 and.
Well,
a weightlifting gene, and runs fast, but for some reason they all think he's going to be a bust. So,
well,
I think any player you can get from LSU, Alabama, any of those SEC teams, Florida, you're getting a kid that's ready to play pro ball. So
yeah, well, but the only knock on Stingley is that he's only played in like 10 games over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, some of that has to do with COVID, but some of that also had to do with, I think, some injuries that he suffered. So it's really hard to judge these players based on that. So
you got a few players coming back that decided not to play because of COVID. So we'll see.
Yeah.
See how they do.
Well, obviously they got you're looking at their defense. You've got Hunter on one end and you've got Smith on the other. If it's a 3-4, say, then who's in the middle? Maybe Tomlinson.
It could be
something like that. So I mean, and then you've got Kendricks. And I don't know who the other linebackers are at the moment.
Barr is still there.
He's not. No, he's in limbo right now.
No.
They haven't signed him, or he hasn't signed with any other team yet. So he's still but he might not fit that system.
Right.
So he might not end up being a Viking after the summer's over, and if we ever get summer. But
well, like I said, the hype starts today. So after the couple of days of the draft, we'll be Super Bowl contenders, and
Well, think about it. The draft is a month from today.
Buy those tickets,
So it's coming up. I mean, they'll have mini camps and.
But at least, like you said, though, Gary, at least they're doing something. I mean, they're not like the old days when Spillman would wait for the draft. They're actually going out, and so this new GM they have seems to have proof is in the pudding. We'll see what he puts on the field. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all you can do right now is sit and wait and see what happens.
But, Minnesota Twins.
Well, they've been busy, a little bit active. People want them more active, but I mean, how much more active can you get?
Well, according to the experts on TV, there's a blockbuster trade coming up.
Oh, well,
for the Twins. Of course, for the Twins, that could mean some minor league dude that's going to come play for them. So.
Yeah. Well, then you know what they must be doing? They must be working with Oakland.
Well, they're showcasing a lot of their younger kids now, and I think that's what they're kind of dangling them out there, jigging them, like you do for fishing to see what they can get. And but according to the ESPN, they got some major trade that they're working on and acquisition. So, and they've got a little more money to do stuff. So,
Well, they again, the big talk is the trade with those 2 pitchers from Oakland.
Yep.
And, it'd be nice if they could get both, but maybe getting one of them. But obviously they signed Chris Archer just this week. He was decent. At one time he was decent.
But that's the 3-letter word. Was.
Well, we'll see. That's the only thing you can do. You got Sonny Gray.
Yeah, we got sunny day today.
It's not, that's. And then I think.
Excuse me for interrupting, but that guy over there staring at us really bothering me.
He's watching every move.
We're talking about his Minnesota Twins, so we have to be very careful and not say anything against the Twins.
But you have, but I think the wild card I think is Joe Ryan, who's a pitcher, and I saw him pitch a couple times this spring. I watched their games on TV, which you don't think, well, why are you watching spring training games?
How come you're not allowed to go down? Why didn't they pay for you to go down and do a story?
No, we don't have that kind of budget, so that's not happening.
I thought that's
ever.
the last time I had to pay more money for the papers so you can go travel a little.
Well, maybe if we actually develop somebody up here to be good enough to go down there and play, maybe I'd get an opportunity, but we don't have many, we've had a few.
Well, you could jump aboard that Fred Flintstone Cessna you guys got parked out at the airport and fly down there.
Yeah. I'll take the Metacopter. So whatever they call that thing, LifeLink. I'll give them a plug.
Yeah, well, if we keep doing this show, we're going to need LifeLink.
Yeah. No doubt about that. But yeah, no, I think, so if you have Gray and Archer, and you have Ryan, and this Dylan Bundy.
Did you say Bob Dylan?
Yeah, Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan Bundy.
Bob Dylan Bundy.
And then Bailey Ober. I mean, there's your 5 starters right now. Now, is it going to put fear into the eyes of batters? I don't know.
Bob Dylan.
No.
I'm not too
Bob
sure
Dylan
about
Bundy.
Yeah.
But
is that a combination of Ted Bundy and Bob Dylan?
Yeah, there you go.
Can I show her his mother was watching the name of that?
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean,
well, let's hope so. That's just, when you really think about it, the Twins have been here longer than any other professional team in Minnesota, and the fan base I think is there. And if they could just put a contending team on to play, as long as they don't play in the Metrodome anymore, they could draw 35,000 every game. If they had a bigger stadium, maybe they'd draw more, but Target Field is probably one of the best places to play and to watch a baseball game.
Oh, sure.
So
technically they're supposed to start the season today.
Oh, that's right.
So the season was supposed to have gotten underway today.
Yep.
I don't know if they'd have been playing in
they probably been playing somewhere else.
Yeah, I hopefully they have them scheduled on a road trip right away. But they do open the 7th of April. They do open at home. And they play Seattle, for I think 4 games, and then the Dodgers come to town for 2 games after that. And then they fly out to Boston, I believe. So the first part of their schedule is going to be a little tricky, so hopefully they get off to a better start than last year, because they were out of it in April.
Yeah, that's true. Of course, Sano only had, 36 strikeouts by then?
Yeah, in 4 games. Wait, no, I don't know if the math adds up.
So if you go through these, you got Sano at first, which he's not even a good first baseman either.
I'm going to ask you. I don't know a fun fact.
He's probably the best in the league.
When they drafted him, what position did they draft him at?
Strikeout artist.
Shortstop.
Oh, really?
When he was drafted.
Oh, that's right. That's before he put on the 80 pounds.
He was a shortstop when they drafted him.
Yep.
Plus, they read off a bunch of other, like Dan Gladden they mentioned was drafted as a shortstop.
Yep.
And they named off a few others that were
they
all
got a
drafted as
shortstop
shortstops. Now. Oh, yes. But you said it, Sano.
But who's that? Okay, and then second base?
Polanco.
Then you got Carlos Correa at short.
Short.
And who's going to arrive?
Gio Urshela. I'll play third. Probably Arise. We'll probably see a lot of time there. I told you before, I think that Arise could probably hit over 300 if he.
He kind of
If he
reminds me of
played.
Rod Carew a
Yeah,
little bit. So.
yeah.
Outfield, you got Buxton in center field. Then Kepler.
Alex Kirilloff in left,
Left
and
and
then Kepler in right.
Yeah.
And then you have Sanchez and Jeffers
behind the plate.
behind the plate.
To me, the one player that's really got to step up for him and did not last year is Kepler.
Oh.
I think if he can contribute a little bit more than what he did, who knows?
Yeah.
We're here, making hype, telling they're going to be good, and who knows what they're going to do. So.
Well, there's hope. You start every season with hope.
Yep.
And unfortunately, last year, hope was lost after the first 2 weeks of the season. And
Where did he play? Shortstop?
yeah, he probably could have used them.
Hope's at short.
Hope
and
at short.
Who's at first?
That's right.
Who plays
'Cause
third?
the way-
I don't know.
The whole that ruined my whole summer when they were out of it because there was no sense watching it.
Well, you'd have to pick another team.
Well,
What's your second team to watch?
I would watch the
If
Cardinals.
you'd say Dodgers,
No, I would watch
you
the
said
Cardinals.
Dodgers,
No.
I'd walk off the set right
Because
now.
my dad, when I was growing up, was a huge
Cardinal?
Cardinal fan.
So you must have been a little upset when the Twins beat them in the '87 World Series.
Well, he wasn't around then. He
I meant
passed
you.
away.
I meant your father. I meant you.
Well, yeah, no, my dad might have been upset,
Yeah.
but he died in '83, so
Sorry.
no, that's all right.
That made me feel real good. Thanks.
But on that, when you think back on that, I go, it's unfortunate because that would have been fun to have had him around.
yeah.
For that World Series, because that was a blast to watch both.
Yep.
I was at UMD. The Cardinals were playing Kansas City, and I was probably the only one in the Commons cheering for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So that was fun when they beat Kansas City, I believe. I
Yeah.
think they beat Kansas City that year.
That's it. Everybody else in the comments kept looking over. There's that guy. He's going to be a sports writer for the
That's right.
Tribune.
They knew better.
Cheering for the Cardinals. Who's he think he is? I'm Gary Giambetti,
Yeah. Don't
Gee.
you know who I am?
the Birdman.
College Cardinals.
But
Yeah.
so hopefully they can stick around 500 for most of the season
Yeah,
and
that's
make
just
it.
so.
Make it
Again, it's going to be pitching. I think if they
Oh,
they can get it. But then again, if you get 5 innings out of a starting pitcher, it's a good thing. I mean, that's how bad baseball's gotten. It's just
yeah. Well, and the guys I've seen pitch so far in these spring training games have done admirable jobs.
yes, yeah.
I mean, there's the one, I don't know his name. I'm sorry, I don't, but he's been throwing over 100 miles an hour and throwing strikes. And then he's got a breaking ball that's off the table.
That the young kid that pitched yesterday.
Joanne something. No, you're right. Yesterday there was one that pitched yesterday
Yeah.
that
threw
did well. But
hard.
there was a one
Yeah.
the day before, Sunday or whenever it was the last time that
Johan
pretty good.
Strauss.
yeah. Taylor Rogers.
Yeah.
He's been okay.
Well, their bullpen, the last few years has always been their strong point too. So we'll see if you're only getting a starter that throws 5 innings, you got to have a pretty
Well.
good bullpen. And that's the philosophy the Tampa Bay Rays have. Their relief pitchers are starting games now. So
Well, the running, I don't know if it's a joke or if it's true, but maybe it's Archer. When they signed him, they said you get incentives if you get through the order once.
oh wow.
So if he gets through 9 outs, he might get incentives if he does that. Now, I don't know how true that is, but
I mean 9 innings, not
no,
9
outs.
Oh jeez.
Get through 3 innings,
You get an
you
extra
get
$100,000.
extra money, But again, he hasn't pitched. Last year, he pitched in like 1 or 2 games.
Had a bad shoulder.
Yeah, something. Something with his arm, but it wasn't Tommy John. So it was,
Probably from lack of throwing.
so that's kind of funny when you hear it get a clause that if you get through the lineup
Yeah, if
once.
you get out of 9 out, get
Yeah.
9 outs, you get an extra $100.
But-
There you go, kid. Go get it. So,
Kind of like being a kicker.
yep. Let's see, who do we got? Wild.
Wild, our 7-game winning streak.
I think they hope they play all their games in overtime because
Yeah.
they're 8-0.
Yeah, but remember, overtimes in the playoffs are 5-on-5. So, and then they play, well, obviously,
Play till you
sudden
win.
death, but so it's not going to be as easy as that. You're not always going to be lucky enough, like you were against Colorado, to get a penalty called and have a power play right away to start. Sometimes you might, but
But again, you look back at some of the moves that the Wild made, and they've been very successful so far. The guys they brought in, and they brought a little beef into the pitcher, which helps. And boy, that one Middleton, is that his name?
Middleton.
Got into it the other night.
Well, that was Delorier got in the fight with Sealer
Yeah, that was
when they both were throwing haymakers at each other. And Delorier had a broken nose when he came here, and I guess he must have busted
He
it
busted
again.
again.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, it was bloody, and
yeah.
that was great.
Great. That's hockey. That's the way hockey should be played.
Well, and
Well, I tell you what,
the thing that bugs me. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, since they brought those guys on, they haven't picked on our little Russian too much lately, so it's helped.
Well, against Colorado, he scored that goal, and that guy cross-checked him into the back of the net. But that was okay to Colorado fans, except when Dumba hits Rantanen with a clean check,
Yep.
and then McKinnon comes over and wants to fight him. That was a dirty check.
Yeah.
So it's like Colorado fans, whatever, I can't say it.
That player for Colorado's out now for a long
Oh, McKinnon's out. He didn't play the other night because he got a bruised hand. Oh, geez, bruised hand. Oh, no, I can't play with a bruised hand. And these guys come off these guys take shots off the shins and ankles, and they come back out and skate. But McKinnon's sitting there, oh, my hand hurts. I can't play.
When you keep hitting the guy's helmet, it's kind of, they are going to hurt your hand.
But Dumba's got to learn not to fight, because every time he fights, he gets hurt.
Yeah.
Then he misses time. I mean, but now obviously he didn't miss. He's not missing time now. But that's the last. But I guess if you're fighting McKinnon, I guess you're not going to really get hurt.
And Andre Fleur looked pretty good the other day in the net. So
Yeah,
they
he was
They
good.
got two steady goaltenders right now, with Talbot and him. And I don't know, they're interesting and fun to watch, and we'll see what happens. But kind of like the Timberwolves. How you like that?
Yeah,
segue?
but before we segue into that, their playoffs don't start till May.
The Wild?
Yeah. How many? I mean, I know they have like just under 20 games, but in the regular season. But I mean, God, that's over a month away right now.
Yeah. And then that'll go into July.
Yeah, July. Yeah,
July 4th.
Hit it right on the head there. Now the Timberwolves. I want to say this: Friday night, I was covering the boys basketball tournament, and I got my wife and my son, and we went down for 2 days in the cities, and we went to the Timberwolves game on Friday night against Dallas. So we got seats second row, or upper deck, first row, second deck, first row.
Yep.
So we got a chance to see them playing live. And the one thing I took away from it is Luka Doncic does not look like a basketball player.
The kid that leads the league in scoring.
Yeah. Doesn't look like his jersey fits, but he's one heck of a basketball player, I'll tell you. I mean, but he doesn't look athletic at all.
Well, he's kind of like a remake of Larry Bird.
Yeah. Yeah, but Bird's jersey at least fit him.
Yeah,
Or
sometimes.
pants and the stuff, but
Well, back in the day, the short shorts fit everybody.
Yeah, they did. But Doncic does not look like he can play the game at all. But boy, is he! I mean, he threw a bounce pass between one of the Timberwolves. I think it was Beasley's legs, or not Beasley. Maybe what's his name? Beverly's legs. And thank you, Mr. Producer.
Yep.
I think it was him, but yeah, I know.
Started with a B. I just threw it out there.
Yeah, but that was a fun night. I mean, they got the win, and
Well, they're again. If you listen to those other shows, I have to watch some of those other shows once in a while just to see how we compare to them. No contest.
Anyway, we're right up there.
We're right up there.
But see now,
They're
they're getting beat by these better teams.
Well, he got beat last night by Atlanta, who leads the league in scoring.
Toronto.
Yeah, last night. But last night again on ESPN, they're picking the Timberwolves to be the spoiler team. If they get into the playoffs, that they could knock off somebody and make it into the second round, which would be fantastic for them. But
Well, the play-in games, they'll probably be playing the Clippers.
unless they end up in sixth place.
Well, yeah, but I don't know how realistic that is because they're like 2 games out of it right now.
Yeah.
They'd have to win the rest of their games, and Denver would have to lose the rest of their games, unless Utah's have been free falling
Yeah.
right now. So maybe they can catch Utah, but I don't know. It's just Boston beat them on Sunday, and then Toronto beats them yesterday. I mean, they got to pick their, and I'm sure Finch has told them this, and he knows it, that they've got to pick their game up against teams like that, because they've been beaten up on some ratty teams. I
The
mean,
Western Division.
Yeah.
L.A. Lakers
yeah, who might not even make the playoffs,
might not make the playoffs.
which wouldn't hurt anybody's feelings except people in LA probably.
Right.
But
Yeah, how often do you want to watch? Again, I don't watch a lot of the NBA because I don't agree with the philosophy that the NBA has. But how many times have I got to watch the Lakers? And that's one of the reasons I don't watch it.
Well,
they're on every other night.
yeah, they're irrelevant right now.
Right.
But that's the problem. That's the scary part of the play-in games, because Timberwolves should be able to beat the Clippers. They should be able to beat the Lakers if they get in. They should be able to beat. I can't think of another team that's down there right now. But to go against LeBron James in one game,
Oh.
I mean, you never know.
No.
I mean, they could pull it. They could pull it out of their hat, and we'd be out of the playoffs. So let's just hope.
I thought you were going to say arse.
No,
But that's okay.
no, you said it for me, but
Okay.
but that's the scary part about it, because Paul George came back the other night and
He's
went
back.
for 30, I
Yep.
think, whatever team they played against. But at least both those games would be at home,
Yes.
so they have the home crowd behind them, and hopefully they play good at home.
How is the new Target Center? Is it pretty nice in there?
Well, it doesn't look any different in there to
Well,
me.
they put like $18 million
Yeah,
into it.
well, if they did, I don't know where they put it. They're hiding
Probably
it.
in the locker room.
They're hiding it well.
Yeah.
If they put 18 million into it, they're hiding it well. I honestly don't know how great it
It's
is.
still a nice facility to watch
Oh
a
yes,
basketball game.
but they're talking about having to build a new one now.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But
well-
the Final Fours are coming. The women's Final Four is here.
Yep.
I know we're almost out of time. Too bad we didn't get into that. I had some.
The
nice-
women's Final Four?
Yeah,
Oh.
that starts like Friday.
Who's playing?
Oh, I know UConn and Stanford are playing in
That's
one.
that's all important it is.
And Stanford and South Carolina and some other team are playing. I can't.
Men's
remember.
Final Four, you've got. I was kind of hoping St. Peter would pull the upset, but they
No.
didn't.
Yeah, so you have Duke and North Carolina.
It's just a big headline game.
But see, now I know what's the team?
Vanderbilt? I don't think that's a
No.
college.
Yeah, it is, but.
I mean, in the playoffs.
No, oh, geez, I can't think of it. But all right,
Villanova?
Well, yeah, Villanova is in the other side, but see, I don't know the other team in there.
No.
Oh, Kansas.
Kansas,
But
Villanova.
we've come to the end of another show. We hope you enjoyed our ramblings, and we'll see you again next week.
Or the Rambling Rex from Hibbing, Minnesota.
Hibbing Public Access Television would like to thank U.S. Bank for providing us with studio space.